Thank you for joining us. This is Salary Finance's third session on Are You Missing Out on Free Money, or otherwise known as State Financial Help and Support. My name is Jason Butler and I'm the Head of Financial Education here at Salary Finance, a job I love doing. I've been doing for 4.5 years to help people move the dial. We know that they need that help more than ever. Just to remind you that Salary Finance is on a mission to help millions of people around the world become financially healthier and happier. And we do that through both teaching you the mindset, the tools, the skills that you need to make good money decisions and make progress with your money, but also providing the salary link products that help you help yourself improve your financial position. And I'm joined today by a brilliant guest, Mr. Gareth Morgan, who is an expert on state financial help and benefits. He's been helping people for years, and I'll tell you a little bit more about him in a minute. I just need to point out that this presentation is not personal financial advice. It's generic in nature. And if you need personal financial advice, either consult a regulated independent financial advisor if you need sort of more complex advice, but you can get a range of free money help from either the Money Helper service, which will signpost you to lots of sources of free help, whether that's debt advice, whether that's state benefits advice, and including also your Citizens Advice Bureau is a good source of advice, both online, both in terms of telephone, and they also do one-to-one sessions, and there are organizations like Gareth who work for employers that provide help as well. Okay, so obviously these couple of characters earlier in the year were the ones pulling the levers of power, Boris and Rishi, who are going to put their hands around everyone and help them get through the problems. And since they made the announcements, we're going to obviously touch on some of the help that they have announced. There have been new announcements, there's been new initiatives, but of course we're going to have one of these two characters is actually going to be the new boss who's going to make the new decisions and basically decide what's going to go on here. I just need to check. I've got a question here coming from someone. Yes, these slides, what we do, the slides will be shared, but also the recordings will be shared. So we don't normally share the slides, but the recording of the session is normally shared. So let's move on. Okay, I want to start with our first poll. So if you've just joined before I explain to you, use the QR code or go to slido.com and put the event code in and participate in this poll. I want to know how much state financial help goes unclaimed each year per UK household. This is an estimate, so choose the one that you think is true. It might be different from what you think. Vote away, it's good. Don't be shy. We don't know who's voting, so just come and take a stab in the dark. It's nice to be proved right or wrong, whatever. So how much do you think? This is per household per year. Money that goes unclaimed, which is just there for the taking. This is not including how much people do claim, but this is what goes unclaimed. So here we go, 540, 132, 377. It's interesting, isn't it, Gareth? That's very interesting to see. I'll give you a few more seconds. So here's the point, is that there's a lot of money that goes unclaimed. I'll just give you a few more seconds because I think I can see people are really involved in this now, which is good. Give you a few more seconds. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? So the pole position there, pole position is 540, right? So that seems to be the favorite, and the least favorite is 132. Well, the guy who's going to answer the question for us, I'll give you a few more seconds. Well done, very, very good. Give you a few more seconds. The guy who's going to answer the question is going to be Gareth Morgan. So Gareth, thank you for joining us. Really great to have you in today's session.
Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into what people can claim and what they're perhaps missing out on, how much is unclaimed in benefits?
Well, the answer is, of course, that we don't know precisely, but the government estimates that of means-tested benefits, and those are the benefits that depend on how much you need and how much you've already got, £16 billion a year goes unclaimed. And that comes down to the £675 for every household in the UK on average. So the highest of the options that you had in the poll there. That's £13 a week. It varies according to which benefit. Benefits for older people, that's called pension credit. About a third of the people who are entitled to that don't get it. And that's almost £60 a week being unclaimed. Probably about half of people that own their own homes and are entitled to it don't get it. More people get help with the rent. So about 20% of people who are older people entitled to help with the rent don't get it, which is still very high. Then disability benefits, much more difficult to estimate, but most people think that over half the people entitled to disability benefits don't get them. And that money doesn't just make a difference to individuals. If you get somebody to claim what's theirs by right, then obviously it makes a huge difference to them going to put more food on the table, help
Mm,
with these huge heating bills that are coming along. But people who get benefits also spend their money in the local economy much more.
mm,
They don't
mm.
save it for obvious reasons. They don't spend it in exotic foreign holidays. They spend it in local businesses and local shops, and that supports obviously jobs in the area as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a multiplier effect. Now, just to point out to everyone what Ferret does and why, obviously, we brought Gareth in, because he's a fantastic resource to have. So, just wanted to explain what Ferret does before we get into the meat of everything.
We've been around like forever, since the early 1980s. And what
Crikey.
we've always done is looked at how benefits work across the range of them for individuals. We produce training courses. We do a lot of training online, e-learning, face-to-face. We produce calculators. We produced the first benefits calculator in the world. We still carry on doing that. And in related areas, we do calculations for things like social care and disabled facilities grants and pensions and so forth as well. We have a big what's called a benefits model that lets people put in kind of figures and
Mm,
test what the effect of them would be in terms of things like affordability and so on. And we help people who are helping people. That's really what we try and do. We can't deal with individual problems, but we can help the people who do that.
mm. Which is why we got you here today. So, let's talk about who benefits are for, Gareth, and let's just bust some myths here.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people still think that benefits are there for people who aren't working. Um, that's not the case. Yes, people who are unemployed or sick or elderly will get help from the benefit system, but people who are in work will get a lot of help as well, because the government's recognised, all governments have recognised for decades, that there are people who are working hard in jobs that just don't pay enough to keep their families. After all, employers pay according to what they think the job's worth, not according to what they think the person working for them needs. So governments have topped up people in work for a long, long time, but a lot of people still just don't realise that. And it works the other way around as well. A lot of people assume that because you're disabled, you can't work, and that's not the case. Pretty much half the people who were disabled in the UK are working if they're working age, and the benefits are there to help them cater for their needs better, meet their needs better, and often the benefits are what helps people to do the work. And work in itself is really good therapy and really helpful in health terms, of course.
Mm,
And there are lots of schemes in terms of disability benefits, and none of them affect whatever other help you're getting, except that sometimes they can increase it a little bit. Some people worry that if they claim a disability benefit, then they're going to see something else that get cut. Well, that will never happen. They're
mm,
always paid on top of anything else you're getting, whether it be earnings or whether it be benefits. And there are schemes, particularly a thing called Access to Work, that provides extra resources, extra support to help people who are disabled to work.
mm. So, let's talk about the types of benefits, because there are three sort of key types, which I think sometimes people get a bit confused with, don't they?
I can understand why they get confused about that. We wouldn't design the benefit system we've got if we were starting from a blank sheet of paper.
Mm,
What we've got are three kinds of groups of benefits. They're the ones that are linked to when you work, whether you're paying your national insurance contributions or you've been working for an employer. And those are the old kind of scheme that was set up just after the Second World War. The idea that if you paid an insurance scheme while you were working, when you couldn't work because you were old or sick or unemployed, then the scheme would pay out. And that was done on the basis of you as an individual paid your insurance premium, and you as an individual got the help back. So those benefits that are still with us, the big one is state retirement pension,
mm,
those benefits that are still with us don't depend upon whether your partner, if you've got one, is a hedge fund manager or sick and unemployed themselves.
mm,
They don't worry about how many kids you've got or anything else. They're yours as of right.
mm,
Then they introduced a safety net. They thought it was going to wither away because it was only going to be there while this insurance fund built up. It hasn't withered away. It's with us now. The means tested benefits. Seen lots of name changes over the years, but now you'll know universal credits, the newest one, pension credit for older people, and that's based upon the family, who's in the household altogether, and very simple in some ways in outline. It tests what do you need based on who's in the family, how old they are, whether you've got sickness, how much housing costs you've got, whether you've got kids and so forth, and how much have you got, looking at your earnings or your other kind of income, and any savings you've got. And crudely, if you've got less than you need, then the scheme will pay out. And that's based upon the family, who's in the household altogether, and very simple in some ways in outline. It tests what do you need based on who's in the family, how old they are, whether you've got sickness, how much housing costs you've got, whether you've got kids and so forth, and how much have you got, looking at your earnings or your other kind of income, and any savings you've got. means tested benefits top up to reach that figure. If you've got more than you need, you won't qualify for anything there. And because that's a really useful kind of test, what they call a proxy test for generally being in need, being hard up, then people who get the means tested benefits often qualify for extra things without having to jump through any hoops to get them. So
And
things
that's an
like
important.
hospital treatments.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Now, things like prescriptions, optical, dental treatment, hospital treatment does have a separate means test to decide whether you can qualify for it on the basis of your income. But if you're getting means tested benefits, forget that. Just tick a box and it all comes in automatically.
And the point is, even if you qualify for, say, £1 under universal credit, as we'll see in a minute about some of these energy support schemes, it qualifies you as a passport, as you said, for many other benefits. So let's talk about the contribution-based benefits.
No, the conditions-based benefits. Yeah, the third group of things that don't depend upon you having been insured. They don't depend upon any kind of means test. They just depend upon whether you meet a condition. Like if you have a child, then it's child benefit. If you've been bereaved, then you can get help with bereavement support. If you're disabled, then there are disability benefits. So it's simply based upon the conditions. It doesn't matter if you won the lottery last week, you can still qualify for it.
So why aren't people getting the benefits then?
That's a really, really good question. There's always a myth that people don't claim benefits because they're too proud to. They don't think that they deserve it. A real myth. The research, and there's been a lot of it, shows 3 reasons why you don't claim benefits. The first one is you don't know it's there. And obviously, if you don't know it's there, you're not going to claim it. The second one is you don't think you qualify for it. And a lot of people really have a very, very kind of bad idea of how much you can still be earning and still get help by way of topping up. And then the third reason is the thing I mentioned earlier. People worry about claiming something, meaning they lose some other help that they're already getting. So that pride is really, it's a real reason, but it's way down on the list. And there are some people that have been affected by the kind of scroungers campaigns, the tabloid press and some reality TV programs did by really misrepresenting what life on benefits is like. An awful lot of people who've been having to claim benefits during the COVID stuff, the lockdown and furloughs and so forth, have discovered the reality. The benefit system is there and it can help people. You're not going to get a life of luxury on it. And some benefits are difficult to claim. If you're not good at dealing with big, long, complicated forms, then particularly disability benefits can be very hard to get. And some of the processes are difficult. Universal credit wants you to do everything online. It doesn't even have a paper form. So
not everyone's got a computer, have they? Not everyone's got access to a computer, or I don't find it easy.
I mean, you have to go to a library or somewhere like that to get access to them. And if you've got access to a computer, well, there are some things you can do that are really useful. A lot of people will never think about going to claim because they just assume they won't qualify. But if you go online, there are a number of kind of benefit calculators online. This is from a charity called Turn to Us. They're free. They don't even require you to prove who you are, give any identifying information. Just answer some very simple questions, and it comes back, in 5 or 10 minutes with a calculation of whether you're entitled to anything and how much. And of course, once you know you're entitled and you've got a good idea of, how much it's worth, you're much more likely to be able to feel confident to go down and claim that.
You are. So let's talk about non-benefit help then. A few things that people may not be aware of or not as aware of as they should be.
Lots and lots and lots. There's a tremendous amount of help available, and a lot of it just goes unclaimed, if you like. And one of the problems about means-tested benefits in recent years is that the government has put limits on how much help people can get with their rent in a variety of different ways. But people who don't get all the help they need with their rent from a means-tested benefit can go to their local council. They've got another budget, a thing called a discretionary housing payment, not unlimited, but pretty big. And they can help by topping up the help you're already getting. So again, you have to be getting a means-tested benefit to get it, but it can really be a big advantage. There are things like grant schemes. If you need your home adapted because of disability to make it safer or more comfortable, local authorities have got a growing budget to help with making those adaptations and help putting the supporting the people and arranging the works and all that kind of stuff. There are lots of energy improvements with grant aid. You can get insulation for the home. You can even get full central heating or boilers if you need them. Again, as long as you're a means tested benefits.
And
The
so these
utility,
are often, I was going to say, the energy is either through your energy supplier or through your local authorities, generally the routes that you get those from. Sorry, Gareth.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I should have said that one. And the utilities have got all sorts of schemes to help their customers when they get into financial problems now. And it's not just energy; it's water as well, and things like that. Obviously, the council tax, there's council tax reduction scheme, which is the means tested benefit. And that's badly underclaimed again, particularly by older people. But there's
Well, it's
also
not.
council tax discount.
I was going to say the discount is if you're a single person or you are sharing a house with a disabled person. It counts as one person, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're disabled or you're a single person or you're a student, you don't count towards having to pay for your council tax bill in the same kind of way. A single person will get 25% reduction on the main bill, as well as kind of disabled person. Students just don't count at all. But an awful lot of people whose circumstances have changed, they've split up or been bereaved or something, forget to tell the council, and they carry on being billed at the full amount. There's lots of education support, and it varies a lot from nation to nation. So things like free school meals, the rules can vary from area to area. Educational maintenance allowances were abolished in England that helped people in the sixth form to stay in school, but they're still around in Wales, Northern Ireland. There are lots and lots of different schemes, and if you go to look on the web or go to an advice service, they can really point you to what schemes there are. There's lots of grant aid schemes as well to help where loans can't be used.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
just
you're
worth
really
doing some.
looking,
Sorry, go on.
yeah, carry on, Jason. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and it's there's a great grant system from the British Gas Foundation, which can be used by anyone, not just British Gas customers, for help specifically grants towards energy. But anyway, go to the grants finder point there, Gareth, because this is a brilliant service from Turn to Us.
Yeah. Actually, on that one, I noticed in the paper this morning that Centrica just said they're going to put 10% of their profits from gas sales into a new support scheme.
Yes.
Yeah, Turn to Us, that charity that does the benefits calculator, was on the screen earlier. They also have a grants finder because there are lots and lots, thousands, tens of thousands of grant giving bodies around, and a lot of them limit. Some charities, some other kind of institutions, and a lot of them limit who they can help by where you live or what kind of work you used to do or whether you've got a particular kind of health condition. So there are schemes that will give help to people who've been gardeners or lawyers or entertainers, lots of people that have been in the armed forces, of course, and so forth. And this website, again, just lets you put in a bit of information about somebody needing help and comes back with a short list of the people that are able to grant aid those sorts of needs.
Yeah, and that's money you don't have to pay back. So let's talk about a couple of other less well-known things here. This is the old saving into your pension. So this is not for people who are absolutely up against it. These are for people who are claiming universal credit and perhaps aren't aware that making pension contributions can increase both their benefit and preserve their entitlement to benefits. Do you want to explain that?
It's a really poorly known kind of little thing. The way that universal credit works is it bases the calculation on how much you earn after you've paid your tax and after you've paid your national insurance and after you've paid anything into a pension scheme. So if you decide, well, I'm getting universal credit now of 10 quid a week, I'll pay £5 of that into my pension scheme. That doesn't leave you with just £5. What it means is the following month, because they've ignored the £5 you've paid, you actually get another £2.75 increase in your benefit. So you get over half of the money you pay into a pension scheme back in hard cash terms in the following month. So along with all the other pension savings advantages, tax, and of course having a bigger pension at the end, that's a tremendous boost if you can afford to do it. Okay, times are bad now, but
I know, but there's another angle there. Is if you are on the threshold for means testing for universal credit, so for instance, you've got too much savings, then making a pension contribution is not seen to be capital deprivation. because all you're doing is you're making a pension contribution, it might bring you back into qualification for universal credit.
Absolutely.
Only do that if obviously you can afford to do that, and that makes sense for you to reduce your savings, and only if you've got the savings. Clearly, many people haven't. But if you have, and you're on that cusp, or you might have received an inheritance or a payout or something, because people in modest situations do come into windfalls. That £3,000 or £4,000 might be better, some of it going into a pension rather than just putting it into the savings account and affecting your means tested benefits. But again, take advice from a benefit advisor if necessary.
That's a really cunning ploy, and in fact, it works even better than that, because even if you're just a few pound a week above universal credit level, paying those few pound a week into your pension might bring you back into benefit. And the crucial thing there is that even with just a tiny amount of benefit, you suddenly open up the door to all of those passporting things that might be worth an awful lot more.
And can I just also make the point there also, I have had some people say to me, look, Jason, I'm really up against it. I'm thinking of opting out of my workplace pension. It may be the case that by opting out of your workplace pension and therefore not making your personal contributions, okay, you might well reduce your entitlement to means tested benefits. That may have been the case because you effectively are pushing up your taxable income. So that's another little thing to watch out for. So now let's talk about non-means tested help, the cost of living. Let's just whittle through these as quick as we can, Gareth, because we've got tons and tons and tons of questions.
I mean, we've all got kind of the awareness of what's going to happen to electricity and gas bills and so forth over the next few months, or what's likely to happen there. The government, started off a little bit early in the year by saying, well, we're going to put a kind of loan out to everybody that has to be repaid over the following few years of bills. Well, they've changed that one. That £200 loan has now become a £400 grant. And that's going to be paid automatically through your electricity bill, or if you're on a prepayment meter, you'll get vouchers to use with the meter. If you're a pensioner, there's another £300 on top of that, and on top of the winter fuel payment, you'd normally get probably £100 for most people as well. And if you've got a disability benefit being received again there, another £150 on top of that. Another reason,
you don't need to claim that. You get paid that automatically. Yeah.
You get paid that automatically as long as you're getting the benefit. If you're entitled to the disability benefit and you haven't claimed it, well, you won't get the extra £150 either. So another reason to check and make sure. And then we've got some extra help for people who are on means tested benefits, not if it's just housing benefit, but the kind of the main central government benefits. And that's the first part's already gone, the date for that's gone, and it's in payment for most people. £650. So the first part's been paid. The next part's coming. We haven't got the definite date for it yet. You'll get it even if you weren't actually receiving the benefit on that date, but you'd claimed it, or you were making a claim that can be backdated to that. So again, really worth checking that you're entitled to benefit.
Just to clarify, just to clarify for anyone, that means if you were in the process of making a means tested benefit to which entitled you to the 650, you don't have to claim the 650. Just want to make that clear for anyone who's listening. Sorry.
You haven't got to be getting it at the moment, but you just need to be entitled to it and claimed it. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, there are some. So DWP, that's going to be paid in July.
Tax credits is going to be a little bit different. You still get it, but it's coming later because they're a bit worried that some people will claim twice by getting the benefit and then switching.
Okay, so we want to know which benefit is the most, thank you for that, Gareth, which you think is the most underclaimed benefit by value. Again, this is an estimate from using all the definite resources we can find. Is it pensioner benefits, in-work benefits, sickness and disability benefits, or financial assistance from the local authority? So vote away, don't be shy. This is when we see if you're still awake, and then we're going to dive into your questions. We've got loads and loads of questions. If you haven't got a question, use that QR code when you're participating in this poll. Once this poll finishes, you'll see the Q&A tab is on the left-hand side. You can post a question there, and we'll get to as many as possible. So we've got people think that the most missing is financial assistance from the local authority. Not so far followed by in-work benefits, universal credit. So that seems pensioner benefits are the ones that no one thinks that sickness and disability benefits are not being claimed. That seems strange, doesn't it, Gareth? That's oh no, we've got some takers for that one. That's interesting. So it'd be interesting. This is interesting. We love to look at the different responses from different groups of people. So vote away. We get a few seconds. So while we're waiting for that, Gareth, I'm just looking at some of the questions here. We've got some fantastic questions. I'll just pose the first one to you before I finish this poll. It says, I live on my own, one income, mortgage to pay, and everyone else seems to be getting help on benefits, but us workers don't appear to be getting anything. Do you want to answer that one? That's got
Yeah,
13
sure.
votes. That seems to be very popular, that one.
I mean, the problem there is that, yes, we've already said that you can get help with benefits while you're in work, and that's not particularly well claimed, but it's there. The problem that this person's got, I suspect, is the mortgage. You used to be able to get help with mortgage interest, never the capital, as part of the benefit system, and it counted towards the how much do you need bit. Well, the government introduced what they call a zero earnings rule a few years ago. If you have a penny of earnings, you cannot get any help with a mortgage at all. And in fact, if you stop working and you lose all your earnings, you still then have to wait 9 months before you can get any help. And when it does come, it's a loan that has to be repaid. So,
Yeah.
yeah, people with mortgages really badly hit.
Yeah, and one of the options may be there, and again, please don't shoot the messenger. It might be you need to sell your house and downscale, or perhaps move into rented, and you might be better off in that city. I'm not saying do that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right, but it may be that maybe you've got too much house for someone living on their own, perhaps. Also, make sure that you're getting your council tax reduction. Which is at least 25%. And also, your local authority will have something called the Household Support Fund. The Household Support Fund is £1 billion of money that's been allocated to councils this year all around the country. And every council has its own criteria, not always means tested, where basically they can help you with everything from energy arrears to warm clothing to appliances to all sorts of stuff. So again, contact your local council if you feel like you are struggling. Go online and see what they're making available on the Household Support Fund, because that might be one way to help you. Good. Okay. So
Yeah,
everyone says financial.
does depend where you are, I was going to say, because it's
Yes.
different from each nation. So in Wales, for
Every
example,
single local authority has its different criteria. So
no,
financial.
Wales has a national scheme called
Yes.
Discretionary Assistance Fund, as does Scotland, I think. So it does
Yes.
depend upon where
Yes.
you live.
Yes. Yes. That's right. So financial assistance from local authority seems to be the one that people think is not claimed. Gareth, do you want to just tell everyone the answer?
Well, I think we disagree on the answer to a certain extent here. I think it's sickness and disability benefits because they're so badly underclaimed. But yeah, financial assistance from local authorities is really badly underclaimed.
Yeah.
People just aren't aware of it.
Yeah, the answer is no one really knows. I think it's financial assistance from the local authority from the numbers I've seen. Gareth thinks it's very closely tied, if not polls pipped by sickness and disability, but we can't get the absolute number. So if we can't find it and we're experts in the field, then what hope has anyone else? The point is there's a lot of money not claimed. Another site you can go to help you, again, as well as turn to us, this is a brilliant site called entitled2.co.uk. Again, brilliant, generic site. You do not need to put personal details where you can get information. So let's look at another question. So thank you for that one. Next one that's been voted up. How much does an independent financial advisor cost, roughly? Is a monthly charge one-off? I have no idea. It puts me off contacting one. Right, let me just tell you, I was a financial advisor for 26 years. There are three types of financial advisor. There are product-centered advisors who work on an asset-based fee or a commission. Well, not commission, but a fee linked to a product. There are wealth managers who will charge you a percentage of your investments, but they only want to deal with rich people who've probably got £250,000. And then there are fee-based or fee-only financial planners who aren't really worried about whether you do investing or buying products. They just help you, and they will often do fixed fees. It doesn't have to be an ongoing relationship. There can be one-off. It could be £200 or £300 or £400, or it could be an ongoing commitment of £20 or £30 a month. The key point here is that what you want to do is go to a website called unbiased.co.uk, unbiased.co.uk, and put filters in for fee-only financial planner. And then basically you can do an inquiry online and you can see what kind of clients they choose. And what you're looking for is a fixed fee financial planning service, not hourly rate, not ongoing commitments, but a fixed fee. And often they will do a little assessment online. It's normally virtual, and they will get you to do an online system to give the basic information. Then they will, and there are also coaching services that are not financial advice, but they're just generally trying to help you understand kind of which direction you should be going in. So money coaching is also a valid system. It won't give you specific recommendations, but it will give you that comfort of a structure of a framework, and then you might decide that you want to go on to I know that, for instance, Best Invest has a free coaching service. I don't know how good it is. I'm not saying they're the only ones, but there are a number of big companies now that provide money coaching. So do check that one out. Next
Also
question.
worth mentioning that if you're thinking about pensions issues, we'll talk to PensionWise. That's free.
Yes, if you're over 50.
Money
Yeah.
pension service. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Next one here. For the energy payback amounts that are due to be paid, do any of them have to be applied for, or will they be automatic if you qualify? Do you want to answer that one, Gareth?
Well, the energy ones are coming automatically. They'll come if you've got the energy bill yourself. There are some questions about what might happen to people whose landlord, for example, actually pays the electricity bill and then recharges them. There's a possibility the landlord will get the grant rather than you. But no, you'll get the money automatically for those. But the stuff that comes from the local authorities, you may have to apply for. You'll probably get it automatically if you pay your council tax bill by direct debit. But if you're paying it in another way, then you may actually have to apply for that help from the local council.
Yes, and they will have to be paid by the end of September anyway. There's also an issue with the disability payment. That disability payment should be paid direct, but there may be some issue if, for instance, there's some issue about the claiming date. So if you don't receive the benefit, the disability payment, the energy payment, then do contact the DWP if you haven't received it by the end of September, because it might be, if you believe you're entitled to it, there might be a mix-up on the record. Okay, with the changes in tax and national insurance, is this a good time to increase my pension contributions? Well, first and foremost, making a pension contribution won't change your national insurance. It will change your tax situation, but it will only change your national insurance if you do salary sacrifice, which is where you give up pension contribution and have your employer pay you lower salary and put money in a pension. But do be very careful, and Gareth will confirm this, it might affect your entitlement to means-tested benefits or other benefits like maternity pay, etc. Anything you want to mention on that, Gareth?
No, I think you've covered that one there. As you say, be cautious, and it can make things better or it can make things worse.
Yes, and again, no point in putting more money in a pension if you haven't got an adequate emergency fund. And for instance, we're looking at tougher times. So again, a bit of flexibility could be a great thing. If I take an unpaid career break, this is due to ill health, would I be entitled to benefits?
I'm not sure what a career break means there. If you can't work because you're ill, then yes, then there are things like employment and support allowance. There are things like universal credit. There are things like the disability benefits that are there to compensate you for not being able to work because you're ill. If you've chosen not to work, that's a
Because you
very
just don't
different
feel
kind of
well.
matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is one problem. Some people who their disability is a mental health related thing, and they are struggling to get mental health assessments. In that case, what do people do, Gareth? Do they get a letter from their GP saying that they've been referred and that they think they have a mental health issue? What do they do if they haven't got a formal mental
Well,
health diagnosis?
the same kind of fit note process kind of works as it does at the moment. But yeah, you can claim the benefit with that kind of help letter from the GP, but then you're going to have to go through what's called a work capability assessment.
Assessment.
And
Yeah,
that generally
yeah.
means you're going to be interviewed by a health professional. And sometimes for people with mental health issues, that can be difficult because some of the health professionals might be a physiotherapist, and they're not necessarily the best placed people to recognize mental health issues.
No, I understand. And in terms of just a couple of others, the good ones here, it would be good to understand what is the maximum I can earn and also receive benefits. I rent my home and my wife is disabled. Difficult one to answer that, isn't it, Gareth? But could you give some rough ideas?
Well, I mean, it is because we said about means tested benefits. The first thing they've got to do is to assess how much do you need, and then they look at what you've got and how much do you need. But if you think of it like a pile of Lego bricks. There's a brick for an adult. There's a brick for a couple. There's a brick for each child. There's a brick for the rental costs. There's a brick for being a carer. There's a brick for each disabled child, and so on. You just really have to take all those relevant bricks and stack them up and add them up, and that gives you the figure for what do you need. And after that, if you've got less than that, and again the rules are complicated there, then you qualify. Use those online benefit calculators. That's the
Yes.
easy way
Yeah.
of doing it.
Just if it helps you, Mr. Anonymous, whoever answered that one, I knew someone who was earning £39,000 a year who had a disabled husband, and they were qualifying for various benefits. So that gives you some reason for. And even if you only qualify for a small amount of what we call means-tested benefits, it might open that door for other things. There's one here: do students living in private rented accommodation, can they claim the energy grant? First and foremost, the energy grant normally no, the energy grant, because they aren't the bill payer. Normally that's being paid by the landlord. Whether the landlord passes that on to the individuals or not, that's down to the contract, etc. If you're in halls, it's probably not the case because you're not paying specifically. It depends whether you're paying pooled, whether the landlord's facilitating the payment of it or not. In the case of my daughter, when she was a student, her and all her people in a flat, they were paying the bills, so they presumably should receive the council energy rebate. Gareth, do you want to say anything on that?
No, you're quite right. It's the person who pays the bill that gets the grant. If you're all students, by the way, remember, don't forget, you shouldn't be paying council tax.
No, that's right. But the point is, because they're not paying council tax, they may not have a bank account set up, so wouldn't receive the money anyway if they're paying the bills. So it tends to be second and third year students or master students. It would be good. Hang on. Next one here is we've got a couple more. We'll do 2 more, and then we've got a final poll. I was on job seekers allowance in May and June, but didn't receive the £150 first payment with the energy prices supposed to come through July. Was it given to everyone or selected people? But it's on people it's people who are the £150 you got initially was for people who are in council tax A, B, C, or D who paid the bill, or people on disabilities who are in council tax band E. Is that correct, Gareth?
Yeah, it is that for most parts of the country.
Yeah.
And yeah, it
Okay.
also depends upon the date.
Yeah. Final question, and then we'll finish. I had some cold callers offering free solar, and as soon as I say I'm working, they're no longer interested. I just wouldn't see anyone coming to the door. Just don't deal. No one ever lost any money, as Paul Lewis says, saying no to a cold caller. Whether it's a telephone call, an email, a text, or someone knocking on your door, just say thank you very much, I'm not interested. So let's finish today. Thank you for joining. Been great hanging out. I want to know what action you're going to take after today's webinar. Are you going to use a benefits calculator, turn to us, or entitled to identify entitlements? Is it something else that we sparked in your mind? You're going to seek advice from your employer? Are you going to contact your Citizens Advice Bureau or a money charity or a state benefits helper? Are you going to contact your local authority to see what financial help's on offer? Is it whether it's council tax, whether it's that household support fund, whether it's discretionary housing payment? So vote away. Don't be shy. Very, very important for us to see what's going on here. So vote away. So interesting, very, very, very good questions there. We will be writing those questions up, the answers formally, and putting those on the Learn website of Salary Finance. So don't think that they've disappeared into the pot, any that we didn't answer. We only have so much time. If you want to ask your question and we didn't get to answering your question and you want to hear this again, join us again tonight at 7:30. You're very welcome to join us. Check with your employer for the joining instructions. And Gareth and I will happily try and get to some more questions that we didn't get a chance to answer. So that's good. Look, most people are going to use a benefits calculator to identify if there's anything there. And don't forget, it's not just you. It could be a colleague. It could be a relative. It could be a friend. You know, you're doing someone a favor. Look, this is a great time to really get together and help each other, right? Everyone's facing difficult times to a greater or lesser extent. And the more we can talk about money, the more we can help each other and share what's working, what our issues and concerns are, but also sharing knowledge, more importantly, helping people take action. That's what it's all about. Great. Well, thank you very much. I'd like to say thank you very much to my guest, Gareth. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Here. It's been great here. We'll see you again on another thing. And remember my famous saying that I always say, with your money, it's always about making progress, not seeking perfection. I'll see you again on a future money webinar. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.